सजना सजना मैंने तुझसे प्यार किया, मैंने तुझसे प्यार
Very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show on Island Zone Radio. A beautiful Sunday afternoon. Well, a very pleasant good evening and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. It seems as if though my friend Sherry Algaredo is having some problem in getting onto the radio. And sometimes this is why I really like to bring people in the studio. But, she's living a good way from me. But if we don't, I hope that she's listening to me. If we're having problem today, guess what? Sometime during the week, I'll make it my duty to go by her house, or she can come by me, and we could go in the park and we can do a live broadcast then if I don't see her tune in. Otherwise, to that, I will do, um, I will try to do as much as I can do today. But it would have been really nice to get her on the program because she's a strong advocate for this kind of thing, autism, and she also fight for their rights and for these people to these kids or adult to make sure that they get the right care there is. So I'm going to start and I'm going to watch my monitor to see if she come on or not. And if she doesn't come on, like I said, what we are going to do is that I'm gonna go by her or she can come by me one day, and that we will get to do the show. Again, you're watching the Ken Rampersaud show on Island Zone Radio. So we're gonna talk about first. I want to tell you that we have not we actually Sherry is planning a walk next week, Saturday between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. at the Phil Rizzuto Park, that is Smoky Park, and it's located 95th Avenue and 125th Street. So, guess what? I would like for all of us to go and support her in this walk to bring awareness to this program. We want these kids, those who suffer from autism, to be able to get some kind of help and get all the help there is. If you are from Guyana and you don't know what to do, if you have a child with autism, I think the right thing to do, even to bring the kids out to walk, bring them out on on Saturday for a walk, and then if rain falls that day, guess what? On the 18th, we will have we will have the walk. So don't worry, guys. Just hold on and let's see if she's not on. I will try my very best to do the show alone. I like when I have guests on who really do have first-hand experience in this kind of thing. So, it is estimated that worldwide around 1 in 100 children has autism, which is that's a high number. Also that's around the world, and in the United States there is actually one child in 36 who have autism, right? And autism is a spectrum disorder. Its condition is related to brain development that impacts how a person perceive and socialize with others, causing problem in social interaction and communication. The disorder also includes limited and repetitive pattern of behavior. The term spectrum is in autism spectrum disorder refers to a wide range of symptoms and severity. While there is no cure for autism, I want to tell you the earlier you get help for your child, it's better for you. So again, I'm going to tell you, if you have a child that you notice from birth that the child is not I want to say developing as he or she should, then your doctor you need to bring that up to date to your doctor so they could come up with a diagnosis. They could run tests and so on. And from what I can tell you, there is no cure for autism. And that's why we say early intervention, that's the best thing you can get for them. And you want to keep in mind that the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder is applied based on analysis of all behaviors and their severity. But here are a couple top behavior that may signal autism. That the child doesn't speak or has delayed speech. And we sometimes, when we get kids and we don't see our children talk like 2 3 years, we want to know what's happened. And then we take them to the doctor and then they run the test and they find out trouble understanding other people's feelings or expressing their own, perform repetitive movement like rocking, they'd rock like this, right? Spinning or hand flapping, resisting cuddling or holding. And what we want to know, why a child wouldn't want to do that, or even the child will talk to you with little or no eye contact. Lack of interest in peer relationships, prefer the child prefers to be by themselves, and lack of spontaneous or make believe play. Sensory sensitive to lights or sound, also touching, but possible indifferent to pain or temperature. And sometimes you want to say, how come this child is not, you know, um, when they get pain, you doesn't understand. They don't understand like this is pain. They doesn't react to it like someone who have all their senses would be. Um, and I also want to tell you that persistent fixation on object or parts of a project object, like the wheel of a toy. And I want to see, Pamela said, where is the destination ending? You know what? From what I know, Pamela, and I would love Pamela to come, all of you to come out and let's do this walk. And we are printing the Ken Rampersaud show, and from our hearts with Radhika, we will be printing 30 t-shirts. And I would like for you guys to come. You will wear those t-shirts, and you're going to support us together. You're supporting the Ken Rampersaud show. I believe in bringing awareness to things like this, and let's put our energy to where we can make a difference in our community. So Sherry is, um, she is the one who's responsible for this walk, and so I am throwing all my weight with Sherry to support her in this, to make sure she have a successful walk. Again, I would like to see you, ladies and gentlemen, there. So don't forget, come out in large numbers. Let's show love and support in all of this. um, Patsy Mahadi, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for tuning in. Pamela Prasad, a very good afternoon to you. I hear that she's trying to come on, but she's getting some hard time. Also, social communication and interaction. Again, if she can get on tonight, I will make sure, that's my girl. I'm going to make sure I go by her or she can come by me, and we can do something about autism. Are we going to talk about a walk? So don't worry. I'm going to try to pull this show off. A child, social communication and interactions. A child or adult with autism spectrum disorder may have problems in social interactions and communication skills, including some of these signs that I'm going to be talking about. Fail to respond to his or her name, or appear not to hear you at times, resist cuddling and holding, and seem to prefer playing all alone by themselves, retreating into his or own world. And sometimes you see children playing by themselves. You want to know what's going on, why that child, and you think it's a good thing, but guess what? It's not a good thing. You have to watch all these things. Has poor eye contact, or lack of any kind of facial expression, doesn't speak or has delayed speech, or loss of previous ability to say words or sentences, can't start a conversation um, or keep on going, or only start on one to make requests, or label in, where it comes to items. Speak with a normal tone, abnormal tone, I mean, or rhythm, and may use a sing-song voice or robot-like speech, repeat words or phrase, verbatim, when they're talking, but does not understand how to use them. Doesn't appear to understand simple question or directions, like you will tell them to do something and they will do something else. Doesn't express emotions or feelings. And sometimes I see people, and I said to myself, a child, and I would say, how come that they don't really understand what you're saying, or they're like numb. You're telling them something and they're just watching you or staring you. And I've had that experience, and appear unaware of others' feelings. Doesn't point at or bring object to share interest. Inappropriately approach social interactions by being passive, aggressive, or even being disruptive. Has difficulty recognizing nonverbal cues, such as interpreting others' facial expression, body posture, or tone. And like sometimes when our parents watch at us, sometimes they're trying to tell us something. Well, if you have a child with autism, it's more likely that they will not understand what you're saying, right? And today we are talking about autism. Where this walk taking place? Patsy, the walk will be taking place at Smoky Park. It's 95th Avenue and 125th Street, on Saturday between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Sabitri Ramsamuja, very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much. And you're watching from New York. Thank you. So, pattern of behavior with those kids who have autism. A child or adult with autism spectrum disorder may have limited repetitive pattern or behavior, interest or activity, including any of these signs. Perform repetitive movement, as we said, such as rocking, spinning, and half hand flipping. Perform activity that could use can cause self harm. They do things that could harm themselves, and no one knows why, such as biting, or sometimes I don't know if you have seen kids that they bang their head together on the wall or on the bed. And as a nurse, I remember taking care of a child who always want to jump off the bed, want to hit his head on the wall, and those are very dangerous behaviors to have for a child, or rituals and becoming disturbed at the slightest changes, has problem with coordination, or has odd movement patterns, such as clumsiness or walking on toes, and has odd stiffness and exaggerated body language, is fascinating by details of an object, such as spinning the wheel of a car, a toy on a car, but doesn't understand the overall purpose or function of the object. Is usually sensitive to light, sound, and touch, yet may be indifferent to pain or temperature. Doesn't engage in imitative or make believe play. Like if you imitate, they would not engage with you. If you're trying to imitate, like sometime you stretch your, you have a child and you're stretching your tongue out, the child would not do that kind of thing. Okay. Has specific food preferences, such as eating only a few foods or refusing to eat food with certain kind of a texture. As they mature, some children with autism spectrum disorder becomes more engaged with others and show fewer disturbances in behavior. Some usually those the least with severe problems usually may lead to normal or even near normal life. And as we said before, like I'm saying, some children you will know definitely that that they're sick. Some of them could be very aggressive. Um, um, so it's different, and she's saying her mic is not working. So but continue listen, Sherry. What could happen? I would try my very best to see how we could do this. I could come by you one day, or we could go to the park and we could talk a little bit a couple days before they walk. So we have Sherry. She's having a little tough time. Um, but as we're talking, I'm going to play a song just now, and I'll try to see if I can if there's anything on my side that could bring her mic on. Yes, and they could be very aggressive too, right? So let's play a song, and I'm going to try my best to see if I could bring on Sherry, okay?
नींद तुम्हें तो आती होगी, क्या देखा तुमने सपना? आँख खुली तो तन्हाई थी, सपना हो न सका अपना। तन्हाई हम दूर करेंगे, ले आओ तुम शहनाई, ले आओ।
Sherry, you could try and see if you could try the mic now.
प्रीत बढ़ा कर भूल न जाना, प्रीत तुम्ही में सिखलाई। ओ तुम्हें भेजा है खत में, तू नहीं मेरा दिल है। ओ तुम्हें भेजा है खत में। खत से जी भरता ही नहीं, अब नैन मिले तो चैन मिले। चांद हमारा कैसे मिले हम, मिलने की सूरत लिख दो, मिलने की सूरत लिख दो।
नैन बिछाए बैठे हैं हम, कब आओगी खत लिख दो। ओ तुम्हें भेजा है खत में, तू नहीं मेरा दिल है। ओ तुम्हें भेजा है खत में।
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show on Island Zone Radio. She is seeing me. I don't know what's going on that I can see Sherry. But I'm not going to stress, when you're doing the live radio, it could be tough sometime, but what can I tell you? I'll continue with the show and we can reach sometime and talk about it. Or what we could do the show another day. Even after the show, it would be good to have Sherry on in studio. So probably I'll go pick her up one day, bring her in the studio so we could talk all about this. Because it's a very important topic and we had planned to do this a long time ago. So Sherry, don't stress yourself. We will do this another day. Babies develop at their own pace, and many don't follow exact timeline found in some parenting book, which is true. But children with autism spectrum disorder usually show some signs or delayed development by before age 2 years. If you are concerned about your child's development or you suspect that your child may have autism spectrum disorder, discuss with your primary care doctor or your pediatrician. The symptoms associated with the disorder can also be linked with other developmental disorder. Signs of autism spectrum disorder often appears early in development, which when there are obviously delays in language skills and social interactions. Your doctor may recommend developmental tests to identify if your child has any delay in cognitive, language, and social skills. If your child doesn't respond with a smile or happy expression by 6 months, doesn't mimic or facial expression by 9 months, doesn't babble or coo by 12 months, doesn't gesture such as point or wave by 14 months, doesn't say a single word by 16 months, doesn't play, make believe, or pretend by 18 months, doesn't say two words phase by 24 months, lose language skill or social skill at any age. And I want to tell you the cause. Autism spectrum disorder have no single known cause that's proven. Given the complexities of the disorder and the fact that symptoms and severity varies from child to child, there are probably many causes. Both genetic and environmental factor play a very important role in autism. And let's talk a little bit about the genetics. Several different genetic genes appear to be involved in autism spectrum disorder. For some children, autism spectrum disorder can be associated with a genetic disorder such as Rett's syndrome or Fragile X syndrome. For some children, genetic changes, which is mutation, may increase the risk of autism spectrum disorder. Still, other genes may affect brain development or the way that brain cells communicate, or they may determine the severity of symptoms. Some genetic mutations seem to be inherited, while others occur spontaneously. And when we talk about the environmental, factors, and when we talk about genetic too, genetic is what you as the parents pass on to the child, and environment is what goes around you. Research are currently exploring whether factors such as viral infection, whether factor medication or complications during pregnancy or air pollutant plays a role in triggering autism spectrum, right? So they are not sure yet what really caused this, um, if it's genetics or environmental factor, but there are still studies going on. And I want to say hello to my friend, Mr. To Henry Villa watching Irving, Texas. Thank you very much. Nanda Budai, a very good afternoon to you. Radha Jaikaran, a very good afternoon to you. Dharmendra Parsram, good afternoon. Thank you. He's watching from Florida. Michael Nalini Naidu. Yes, we are talking about autism, and I were supposed to have the beautiful Miss Sherry Algoredo, and she is a powerful woman in our community. She is a chairwoman for Community Nine Board. She has a wealth of knowledge how you could get help with children who has autism. And I want to feel that sometimes we say things happen for a reason, and I believe really that things happen for a reason, that I'll get her to come into the studio where we will have a good interaction. And I know that she knows psychologists too, who works in the school system, who together, all of us can come and talk about this probably next week, not next week, the week after next. And we will talk about all of this. So I am not going to be disappointed. Sherry is my friend, and we can pull this off together. Um, Also, I want to tell you that no link between vaccine. People say all the time that, man, because my child get vaccine, that means this cause that. No, studies have shown that they have done all these tests already, and they have not seen any relationship between vaccine and a child getting autism. And so, what the doctors encourage and researchers, what they're saying is that, listen, if you don't give your child the necessary vaccine as a child, as a baby growing up, they can get things like whooping cough, pertussis, measles, um, mumps. So, despite what people may say, you have to go where studies have shown. Make sure that your child get these vaccines that they're required. Hi, Nafisa. Good afternoon. That your child get the vaccine that required of them to get to grow up to be healthy adults. All right. So don't worry to people who may say that, man, vaccine causes and vaccine causes that. Like I said, research was done, and it showed that, listen, there is no indication that the vaccine that the child get would cause anything like autism. And we talk about risk factors. The number of children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder is rising. And it's not clear whether this is due to better detection and reporting, or a real increase in the number of cases, or could be both. So now you never know, is that we are finding out that a lot of people have this autism, because guess what? They may be doing much more tests now to find out if this child has autism or not. Or like long time, they probably was not sure what they were doing. I'm not saying that. Hi, the beautiful Miss Gwen. How are Gwen Megan? How are you? Thank you very much. And today our topic is we are talking about autism and autism in children, and we supposed to have the beautiful Sherry on, but unfortunately she's having a hard time getting on. But like I said, everything happened for a good reason, and I believe that probably for her to come in the studio so that we could sit down and have a good conversation. Who knows me? No, I love to have people in the studio. Um, let's talk about risk factors. Then again, autism spectrum disorder affects children of all races, all nationalities, but certainly factors increase the child risk of getting autism. Your sex, the sex of the child. Boys, listen to this carefully. I was surprised. Boys are 4 times more likely to develop autism spectrum disorder than girls are. Isn't that strange? Family history. Families who have one child with autism spectrum disorder have an increased risk of having another child with autism, right? Um, it's also not uncommon for parents or relative of a child with autism spectrum disorder to have minor problems with social or communication skills themselves, to engage in certain behavior typically to the disorder. And I got to tell you this, that sometimes, like I said a lot of times, that there are people with diagnosis that was never diagnosed by a doctor, especially things like mental health. Excuse me. You have a lot of people who have mental health issues that were not diagnosed. All right. Other disorders, children with certain medical conditions have a higher risk than normal risk of autism spectrum disorder, like autism like symptoms. And we're going to talk a little bit about extreme preterm babies, babies that are born 26 week before 26 week of gestation may have a greater risk of autism spectrum disorder. Parents' age. There may be a connection between children born to parents who are older. So, for example, if you have your parents are older, like 40 and 50, and you get a child, you can get the baby could get autism. Also, things like Down syndrome. So, it's always wise to have your children within a certain age. So, that's one good thing. Complications, and I hope that this would help. It's not a big interesting topic really, but it's good to know these things, to watch kids as they develop. You want to make sure that your child is developing as it's supposed to be. And like I said before, that children, the early detection is the best thing that you can do. If the earlier you get your child to be diagnosed with autism, it's better for you. Early intervention. And I got my good friend from Canada is watching, Mr. Hiralal Ram. A very good afternoon to you too. Um, so complications, and here we're going to talk a little bit problems in school with successful learning, employment problem, inability to live independently, social isolation, stress within the family, victimization and being bullied. Because I noticed that sometimes you have people who are different than you going to school, and that's why they have these children in special education, because they have autism. They have problems with making friends, keeping friends. They can't deal with each other. They can't deal with stress, right? They get very worked up, right? Um, they grow. Some people can, some people with autism can be high functioning, but then when they get older, they go to work. They cannot deal with the everyday back and forth with work and the stress of work. And for some of you who are working, know that guess what? They can work is hard sometimes. The people that you work among, children see other children that they are different than them, they bully them, right? They say all manner of things to these children. And so that's why it's always good. And that's why I tell people, you treat people nicely. Encourage your children to respect everybody that go to school. Respect people who are different than you. They have their own stress. Auntie Iris Goberdan is watching from Hague, Baghdad. I think she's in somewhere she's in Tushin side. Good afternoon, dear. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the goodies that you sent. Paras Singh, good afternoon, my dear. How are you? We miss you like cook food too, but I know that you are doing a lot of traveling. And today's topic is we are talking about we are talking today about autism. Watch your kids. Can you really prevent autism? There are no way to prevent autism spectrum disorder, but there are treatment options. And like I said, there is no cure. In early detection, early diagnosis and intervention is most helpful and can improve behavior, skills, and language development. And like when children go to school, they put them in children with autism, they put them in special education, and then guess what? They teach them one on one, they teach them to pronounce words, they teach them to talk, they teach them math and different things, right? Um, Early diagnosis, I said, right? However, intervention is helpful at any age, though children usually don't outgrow autism disorder, spectrum disorder. Symptoms may learn, some of them may learn how to function well. And how is autism diagnosed? Um, Thank you. Iqbal Sharif, a very good afternoon to you, sir. It's good to have you on, always. Henry, thank you very much, um, watching from Texas. And yes, today we are talking about autism, and it's good to know. Sometimes as parents, you don't see a child how it's developing, but it's good to know as family. So guess what? When your family bring their kids around, you can tell when there is something going on. And the earlier you talk, it's better for you. And here, how is autism diagnosed? There is no blood test, there is no brain scan. or any objective tests that can be definitely diagnose autism, though researchers are actively trying to develop such a test. Diagnosing an autism spectrum disorder involves two steps, and I'm going to share something later on. There's the test that they're doing. I'm going to share it with you guys. Diagnosing an autism spectrum disorder involves two steps: developmental screening, and we'll talk about the screening, and the comprehensive diagnostic evaluation. Developing developmental screening looks to see if children can learn basic skills when they should, or they may have developmental delays. The next step for diagnosis is a comprehensive evaluation, which is an in-depth review that looks at a child behavior and overall development, and generally includes an interview with the parents. There is often occupying um, accompanying hearing and vision screening, all along with neurological and genetic testing. They do a lot of neurological testing. Yes, and here is why, as we said, early detection is the key. And like I said before, early detection is the key. And we know, and we also know, every child is different. No two child is the same. And so when you take that child to the doctor, they will give them individualized therapy, right? Including symptoms of a therapy to help the child walk, talk, and relate to others. They can also have a huge impact on the child behavior, functioning, and future well-being. But the converse is also true. Early detection, the symptoms of autism can worsen, right? And what is here is one thing that was interesting. You got some children who with autism are very bright too, and we said gifted children with autism are often referred to as twice exceptional. It's a term that educators come up with a few decades ago to address exceptional abilities with children with disabilities. Have And I want to share with you um, one of the tests. There's a list of questions that they're going to ask, and I'm going to do this for you guys. I'm going to read out the test question that they ask. And number one, does your child have limited speech, nonverbal, or speaks only in short phrase? And you would answer could be never, rarely, sometimes, often, or very often, right? So then does your child tend to give random answers to question or make random comment? Does your child not respond to their name when you call them? Does your child avoid eye contact when you're talking to them? Does your child, and this is good to know, does your child not engage in pretend play with other children? Does your child struggle to understand other people's feelings? And I've seen that with people. Is your child easily upset by small changes? Does your child have obsessive interest? Does your child engage in repetitive behavior such as hand flapping, toe walking, pacing, or lining up objects? Is your child over or under sensitive to smell or touch? Does your child struggle to socialize with other children? And you know children like to play with children. And if you have a child, that's not playing with their cousin or their siblings, there is a problem. Does your child avoid physical contact? Um, if does your child with physical contact? Does your child show little um, does your child avoid physical contact? Does your child show little awareness of dangerous situation? And some of them don't know when it's dangerous. And optional, enter your they put enter your email address to receive. That's if you want, any kind of letters or so from the mental health department. And I think that's some of the things that we want to talk about. I that was end of my talk, and then I had questions that I was going to ask Miss Sherry Algoredo. And the thing is that I'm so sorry that um, I know that she is waiting, but I can't seem to see her on my screen. That's what the problem is. I don't know how to. I am not seeing her um, in the screen. So let me see if I could. I think I see her now. I think I see her now. Let me see if I could bring. All right, she is on. We got 15 minutes to talk. She could hear me. I could see she's smiling.
Can
Hi,
you?
Sherry.
Hi, I think you had to let me in because I used a different device and
Okay,
it's
that's all right. Hi,
enough.
Sherry. Good afternoon. Let me run this quick, ladies and gentlemen. Sherry Algoredo is a powerful woman in our community. She is the first woman that become a chairwoman in Community Board 9. And also, she's my friend. Sherry is a strong advocate. Sherry, good afternoon. How are you, my dear?
Good afternoon, Ken. I am well.
I am so glad you came the right time, Sherry.
I've
Um,
I've been on for the last 45 minutes. I think you
oh,
had to let me in.
Oh Jesus Christ! But you came on the right time. There. To be honest, there's a lot of changes in the computer actually, and I'm now checking things and seeing things. And then I see Ariana's message, and then when I look on the right, I see you. But listen, you came the right time. We gonna lick this up. So in your words, Sherry. So let me ask you, how are you doing? Good. You good?
I am doing pretty good. Thank you.
All right, good, good. You look nice. So, Sherry, my question to you is, in your experience, and I'm glad you came on. How do we really know from your experience that children they're having autism? What are some of the things that you look for really?
Well, sometimes you can't really tell. I mean, autism is something, the spectrum is so broad. There's people who sometimes function like any other kid growing up doing everything, but then academically they're not doing well. There are kids who academically are doing great. They have this amazing memory. Emotionally, they're not doing well. That's why it normally takes a series of meeting with a psychologist who determines if you're on the spectrum or what level it is, because the spectrum is this broad. And this is what they say. Sometimes you can be borderline, sometimes you could be on the mild side, sometimes you could be on the vast side. There are kids who speak, who can travel to school, who could do stuff, but they have little behavioral issues, which is also diagnosed as autism. And there are kids who are like nonverbal and
Right,
can't
right.
really speak and don't understand much. So there's so many different levels of autism. That's why it takes really a clinical psychologist to really determine if you have autism, and it's then they evaluate you through the school system.
Good, good. Oh God, thank God you get on, Sherry. Sherry, what are some of the treatment or therapy that are available for children?
Well, there's different type. You have speech therapy they give. They have OT, which is occupational therapy. They have physical therapy. And many times, if you're on the spectrum, if you could diagnose from a young age, and if it's a bit severe, in New York City, we have District 75, which is District 75 are like schools specifically for autistic kids. So you would find smaller class size, like 6 to 1, depending on how severe you are, 8 to 1 or 8 to 2, where you have people in the separate from a teacher, there's support in the classroom. There's also kids on the autism spectrum that goes to regular public school, elementary
Oh
school,
wow.
and they're like in a 12-1-1 class because they're a little higher on the spectrum. So it depends on the level. They'll either be like in a District 75 school where they're really big on the therapy and it's very strong, and then there's in the elementary school, sometime the public school, where they could seem to integrate them with the public with the hope that it's something that they would grow out of,
Wow.
but never really grow out of autism. You just learn to cope and adapt with it.
Right, right. Sherry, what are some of the the barriers that parents encounter when they have kids with autism?
Well, one of the things I can speak as a mom, my son is autistic and he's 20 going in 21. And I could tell you some of the things. I'm also an immigrant mom who came here in my 20s. So I didn't go to college in this country. So when you didn't go to school here, it's hard. There's all these acronyms like IEP, which is that's the first step they do. They take you to a department called CSE, which is Committee on Special Education. Trying to remember the acronyms as especially as as a mom in general, but as an immigrant mom, it is something new that you're not used to. So you have to learn all those things, and you have to learn that Committee on Special Ed is a different part of the district where they evaluate you and put you. So I think when I had to take my son, and and they were sending him for all these different tests, it was very confusing. It was really hard to understand. And then you have a problem, right? Because all your friends' kids are very high functioning. They're not special need. You're wondering, why did I end up with a special need child? And so many things goes across your head. And when they're not very verbal and they can't express themselves, and you don't know what you're saying, not only is it frustrating for you, but it's also frustrating on your child. And a lot of people don't realize these kids, even though they may be quiet and not very verbal, it's frustrating for them because they're unable to express how they feel. They are unable to express how they think. In their mind, they probably know stuff, but to get it out there, it's very hard for them. So those are one of the frustrating things, because when you're in a society where everybody teaches that, your kids are brilliant and you hear everyone boasting about their,
Oh,
and then you have a kid that's not really speaking, and then you hope that with therapy as the years go by that they will move to the point where they could fit into a normal environment, but then they become an adult and you realize doesn't matter how much therapy or how much things you give them support. Some people are able to move, go to college, like my son's friend, a lot of them were able to move on to college.
oh
They still
wow.
the behavioral sensory issues, but they were able to go on to college and leave. And then there are some kids who had to stay back because they could never pass the Regents exam.
Right,
They could
right.
never get beyond that. And sometimes it leads to frustration. And as a parent, you're frustrated because everybody who has a kid, I'm pretty sure, has a kid with a goal of some type of future that they're going to look forward to their kid having. But then you get to a point where you have to accept that this is where your child is going to be.
Yeah. You know, Sherry, I know that you're a strong woman. You are a powerhouse by your own self. But is there a moment where you're like, oh my God, this is tough on me? What
All the
message you have for
time.
people?
I've broken down many times.
You broke, oh,
Stages, not knowing what he wants. The worst part is when you have a job and you have to work,
right.
get someone to babysit your child, and they don't understand your child, and they don't understand the needs and the wants. And it's not like they don't want to care for your child, they want to, but they don't know how to, because there's no
Oh,
specialized training given to somebody who just do babysitting in general. Or if you put them in a daycare at the time, there was no specialized training, not like a specialized daycare that says, well, we're here only for autistic kids.
right,
So
right,
you're mixing them with the general population, but they're not able to function. So
right.
it's very frustrating because, like I said, in the early days, I cried many tears. My son, he was supposed to be a miracle baby.
Oh,
Miracle baby a couple years later had the diagnosis, and sometimes you feel like you did something wrong. You did something wrong to your body, or you did something wrong to your child, because people say it's the injection, and they
right,
said,
right, right,
there's so many things at the time people were saying that cause it, but it is a neurological condition that your child is born with. The cause of it, nobody knows. If we
Right,
know
right.
working, the doctors would be working on a cure. But the cause of autism, it's not known. And it's
You know,
not, I don't believe it was an injection that caused the autism. It is a neurological condition. And
thank
as
you.
you see, the number of autism, it's growing. And it's a higher factor in boys than it is in girls.
Yes, yes. Sherry, you know, if you have to have a conversation with a mother who have a child with autism, what would that conversation be like? And they come and they sound frustrated, like they don't know where to turn to. What the conversation will be like?
I would tell him to breathe and to pray and to trust
Oh,
God that He will give you the strength. I would tell him to look into yourself. You have way more strength than you think you did.
oh,
I didn't think I
absolutely.
had the strength to handle it. But you know what? When you love your child, somehow God gives you the strength to deal with it. And also, don't listen to too many people.
Oh,
Listen to parents or psychologists or school staff who works with your kids, because these days everybody's a psychologist. And I mean no
true.
disrespect,
Yeah,
it's true.
right.
Everybody, and stop figuring out what you did to make your child like this, because you could beat up on yourself a lot. And
Right,
stop
right.
being frustrated that your world is over because you have a child with autism. Your world doesn't have to be over. I went on to do many great things that I didn't think I would do while caring for a child with autism.
All
Give
right.
yourself a break. Stop being frustrated. Be around people who are supporting you. Be around people who uplift you. Be around people who says you're strong. I admire your strength. Those are the type of
Lovely.
people that you want, because that's the type of strength you need to carry you through your days.
That's right. I tell Ariane, I think Ariana is listening, and that's one of the advice I have for her all the time. Surround yourself, and it matters. Surround yourself people who would uplift you. Um,
I
where?
I
Yeah,
had
go
to cut
ahead.
a lot of people out from my life over the years. And it's like a tree. If you have branches and you have certain part of the tree that is not good for you to be able to bear fruit, sometimes you
Right,
have to trim out the damaged branches, you have to cut out the leaves. And it's not because you're cutting it out because you want to, it's because you're cutting it out in order for you to grow and strive. You have to do that.
right, right. Absolutely, Sherry. Where can like where can a new patient start getting their help from, like outside help, things like Medicare or Medicaid? I don't know about these things.
A lot of stuff that I had no idea. One of the things that I was able to access that I wish I was able to do it when my son was younger, because I had to leave my job because I couldn't get someone to care for him. So I had to decide to be his full-time caretaker because he was very little verbally and couldn't express himself. So there's something called OPWDD. And like I said, the acronyms, it took me a while to remember. So don't beat up on yourself if you don't remember. It's Office for People with Developmental Disability. There is a program that you can enroll in, and it's something we'll be talking about at the Autism Walk.
Right,
It's
right.
a resource fair. And Office for People with Disability, if you look it up, there's something called a front door process. And it is a process where you work on getting your child to be diagnosed. Even though they're diagnosed and they're in school, they do different evaluation. It's a long process. It takes about 2 years, but it's worth it. Again, don't beat up on yourself. I cried many times. I wanted to cancel it, but it ended up being the best thing that I could have ever gotten for my child. And with it, you get something like, once you're approved, you get something called a budget. It's money that's approved by the state for people with autism and people with Down syndrome. The thing is, it doesn't go to you. There's like a care worker, there's a broker, there's a fiscal intermediary, which is an agency where the money goes through. With that, there's also something called self-direction. You can hire like a sibling who's not living at the home. You can hire a grandparent or a parent or a friend, and you can have them work and come for a certain amount of hours as much as the budget allots you. They can come for a certain amount of hours and they can be with your child and work with your child and they get paid. And it's something that I wish I knew since I was paying out of pocket for so many years, that I could leave with, you know, also, as a parent, my husband and I both parent together, my son, but it could be a little tough sometime and you need to get out sometime a couple hours. You have somebody who cares for your child.
Hmm.
It's important that you also take care of yourself, your body, and you also make sure you get out as well. So you have somebody trustworthy with self-direction. It's something that, you can get out for a couple hours, have somebody come and stay with your child. So these are a lot of resources and benefits. When your child turns 18, your child is also entitled to Social Security. It's also a long process.
18. Oh,
Don't
wow.
don't get frustrated. I got denied 2 times. One time they said they called me and I said I don't need it for my son. Another time they said I didn't do the interview, which I did. And I had to call our Congress member and get them to reopen the case. It again, the system is flawed, and it's one of the things that I'm hoping we could fight to make the system better and a little easier. Because you can also file for guardianship when your child is 18 if they can't care for themselves. Itself is a long process as well. One of the things that I'm hoping to do with this walk and continue the conversation is I want our electeds and I want people to see how many people are coming out because this cause is so important and such a worthy cause because we need to find a simple way. I have knowledge of many things. And yes, I went crazy with the guardianship, I went crazy with the social security and the OPWDD. It's not an easy process. They evaluate your child for each one of it over and over to prove that your child is disability. You have a child, sometimes you could look, try to speak to the child, and you could tell right away that child is disabled. But you have to go through the same process over and over again. So it's frustrating. There's a lot of services out there, but it requires a ton of paperwork.
All right, and I know that you're doing a fantastic job. And ladies and gentlemen, if you need help on any of this what we are talking about, come next week, Saturday, between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. at Phil Rizzuto Park. That's the known place. Smoky Park. Come out for the walk. Sherry will be there by herself, and you can get information on some of the things that you will need. Right, Sherry?
Yeah,
Is there?
we have several places that's participated that actually give services. We have a place called Mercy Drive Inc. It's a day hub for when your child is over 18. We have Indra Puran with New York Life Insurance. She's going to be speaking about some of the different trusts that you could set up for your child for for as you get older and they need that extra support. We have Emblem Health, which is going to have a lot of resources signing up for anyone needs insurance and speaking about it, free health insurance. We have been a home care that will be speaking about New York City CDPAP. That's another thing too. When your child turns 21 and they're disabled, you can apply, and as a parent you could probably care for your child and get paid a certain
Yeah.
amount of hours to care for your child that has autism. So we have several organizations: River Fund, Caribbean Cabana, Trinidad and Tobago, the New York City Sikh community. We have Heart of Gems that would be doing a raffle to benefit American softball that offers softball to people with developmental disability. We'll also have a psychologist specialized in helping children with, especially Janet Forte. She wasn't able to get on along, and we're gonna have a
That's
little
okay.
fun. We're gonna have snacks given out. We have Annie Mohan is gonna do some Zumba. So, but we're gonna walk around the park 4 times, which is something we did last year. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to walk around the park. We're hoping to do it 4 times, and it's not, you might say, well, it's just walking. While we walk, we're raising awareness. The more people come
Right.
out, the more we walk, the more signs we make. the more we stand and our elected see how many people are there, that's how we're going to make a difference. And Ken, if you don't mind, I'd like to say 1 minute about
T-
Senator and how they
do you
started.
think? Do you think?
This work started last year. I know this around the Richmond Hill area in the Indo-Caribbean community. And by the way, if you detect an accent in my voice, I'm from Trinidad.
Trinidad, yes, she's Trinidadian.
So I noticed that we weren't having anything much to do with autism and autism awareness. And while April represents a lot of stuff, the reason I call it autism and developmental disability, and we're doing it in May because there's a lot of people like there's not a special walk for Down syndrome, and there's other illnesses, developmental related stuff that's not called autism, but people have autism like symptoms. So to include everyone, we call it autism and developmental disability. So last year I was out on an event with Senator Dabo, and he and I was walking, visiting some business. And I went to the senator and I said, Senator, I was thinking we need something like a walk in this area. And at a place like Phil Risotto, which people know it as Smoky Park, I was thinking, that maybe we should do something like that there and raise awareness. And he said yes. He didn't even ask me how or what. He just said yes. And I said, I know this is short notice because I was telling him it in April, and April was Autism Awareness Month. And he just said, go ahead, we'll book the park for you. And even if 4 people come, we would walk. And we
Wow.
had booked for April 29th, and it rained. So we moved it to a week later when there were other community events in the same neighborhood. So we didn't think we would have much, but the senator reassured me, Sherry, it doesn't matter if 4 people show up, we're going to walk anyway. Well, we had about 400 people.
Oh,
We had
wow.
7 come out, cover it. I had some organization come and did some giveaways, and it was fun. It was really nice. So I'm hoping that this year we can do and bring out more families. We've advertised and sent it to District 75 school because one of the things I want to achieve is bringing out families with their special need kids because I want them to feel important. I want them to know how relevant they are. And I want them to see us come out and show that we actually care and we care about them because being a parent of a special need child is a very lonely road. You look happy on the outside, but when you have to deal with your child where he's not able to express himself, he's not able to say much. You look at him, you see other people grow up, they're dating, they go into college, they're going to get married, and you look at your child, and your child will never have that. And then on top of that, you worry and wonder if something would have happened to you, who's going to care for them? Who's going to care for them on the same level that you care for them? There's groups homes, but it's not the same as, you being in your home, growing up with their parents who loves them unconditionally. So there's a big difference.
Absolutely.
I just, really, even though I couldn't come on here and I was so tempted to give up and just
Oh,
exit,
no. Right.
I kept trying. I was trying
Oh,
it. I was like, I'm gonna find a way. So when I kept seeing myself and seeing Ken and he couldn't see me, I text Ariana. Ariana, tell Ken it's on his side. I think he needs to let me in. And I didn't give up because this cause is very important to me.
that's
Very,
right.
very important. It's very dear to my heart. And it's something that I think we need a lot of awareness. We shouldn't be hiding our kids. We shouldn't be ashamed of our kids. We
Right.
shouldn't be afraid to say to our friends, I have a special need child and he's not high functioning, or he's high functioning, but he has little issues, or he has anger issues due to it's being part of called Asperger, which is
Hmm.
another more of a little violent, more side of autism. Some of them even have to have medication
Right,
to
right.
calm. So us parents shouldn't feel ashamed. We should never feel we did something wrong. And I know how I felt, and I know how I still feel sometimes. I want parents with their children with disability to come interact with us for other parents who don't have a child with disability, who can just show them that I'm here for these kids and these young adults or older adults that has this type of disability.
Sherry, I just took a deep breath out because it's like I hold my breath while you were talking. Is there anything else you want to talk about the walk? Let's talk about if
Ev-
rain.
We have a rain date, which is May 18. I see a little rain, but I'm praying that rain away for Saturday, hoping it doesn't come because, like I said, I want to make it fun. Just like we have religious events and we have other events that we do, and it end up being fun and it being successful. I'd like this autism and developmental disability walk to be just as successful because everybody matter, every life matter, everyone matter. And autism isn't something where you're born with it and it goes away 2 days later or you die from it. It's something that you live with for the rest of your life.
Oh, Sherry, you told me that you're nervous. I don't see any way that you're nervous. You are talking like a pro.
The nervousness went away from trying to get on.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Um,
I am nervous because one of the things I'm nervous about is because you never want to feel like you're begging others to come, and you can't expect people to see the vision that you have every single time.
right,
My
right.
there because I have a 20-year-old that is autistic. He looks, a few people approached me and said, "Your son looks fine." I told them autism doesn't have a look. They're like some people with autism, their face looks a certain way, their not necessarily. Some people, you look at them, you'll never know they have autism. But when my son speaks, he has voice box damage. You can barely hear him. It's hard for him to speak. His voice is, could barely be heard. I've had people call my son stupid, and I've had to watch them and smile because he's not stupid. Neither is anybody with autism or Down syndrome or anything. They're not stupid. They're not responsible for the way they're born. Neither are the parents responsible for the
True.
way they were born. We have to learn to love them unconditionally. And we have to have, yes, you have to have a little more compassion that you do with the general kids or the general population. But sometimes I think, working with my son, it's taught me a lot of patience. It's taught me how to love everyone unconditionally. And there's a lot we can actually learn a lot from being around special need people and looking at at life through their lens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. I see. I got my Ariana V watching. Um, Iqbal Sharif, thank you very much for staying on. Shanti Chan watching. Patsy Mario. Gwen is still on. Neela Pawaru says, "Thanks for being brave and inspiration. No one wants to discuss this. Asperger is the other side of spectrum. Absolutely. And so Patricia K2 watching from Guyana. And then guess what? You got a man, Mr. Roger Singh, the powerful Mr. Roger Singh watching, and he said
Yeah,
many, right?
a very strong supporter all the way. Him and his wife Zabida. They've been very supportive, very helpful. He's very excited about the walk. He's like, Emblem got your back.
That's right. That's right.
Back.
And Michael Nalini I do. And for those of you who tune in late and you don't know, but I consider Sherry, my friend, we talk often, and if I need advice, she always take care of me. And so, you know how I feel about you. Thank you so much for all that you do for me and for our community. Despite you are from Trinidad, the only thing is that people would know is your voice, but you help our Guyanese people the same way
They're
that you would help anybody.
all one people. We look different on the outside, sound different, but we're the same inside.
And I'm so glad my aunt Dolores Sigobin is watching from Hartford, Connecticut. And Annette dear Prasad is on. I hope that she could join me. And guys, if you come on the walk with behind the Ken Ramprasad show, and we are all supporting Sherry. But y'all will get a nice T-shirt from me from the Ken Rampersaud show and from our hearts with Radhika. But more importantly, why I want to throw my weight with Sherry is because we want to together, collectively, we can make a difference and we could bring more awareness to autism and to other things as time goes on. And of course, I'll be bringing it live. Any closing remarks you want to say? And be lucky, we did well. Any closing remarks, Sherry?
I'd just like to encourage everyone to come out. Come out. We're going to have families that I know, a few families with kids with autism coming out. Your support means a lot to them. Your support means a lot to me. Your support means a lot to the community. It means a lot also to Senator Dabo, who's going to be making a surprise announcement at the walk regarding special need people regarding the park. Um, he's one in a million, and his support has meant the world to me, having him support this walk. He booked the park and everything, and I just want people to come out. We have snacks, we have stuff, but come out because you have a desire to walk. You have a desire to come out and show support for people with developmental disabilities.
That's
And
right.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate being here. I appreciate you, Radhika, and I appreciate you all having a cause to highlight this. It honestly means the world to me. Having
Oh,
a platform and highlighting this cause, it means the world to me, and it would mean the world to many other families who are coming, looking to find others to just say, "I'm here because I support this cause."
yes. And you're doing a fine job. And let me give a shout out. Ariana said, I want my shirt. Iqbal Sharif says, always remember every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. Hang in there, Sherry. Roger said, huh?
And I text Ariana, I say, tell Ken, let me in. I've been in the
You
last.
know, I'll talk about that just now. And Roger says Emblem Health will be on site on next Saturday to support this great cause. When I was growing up in Ghana, I never knew that people share their stories so that we can understand their struggles and teach the young children to be kind to everyone. And let's see, we will be there with you, Sherry. Absolutely, we're going to be there for Sherry. Um, and like I said, Dolores Sigobin says very great information. And it's all, the bottom line is that we want all these parents to get the best care for their children. It's nothing else. And for those of you, Sherry, it's got to be tough on her a little bit, but because she's from Trinidad and Tobago, but Sherry became the first um, Trinidad and Tobago, the first Indian woman to become chair of Community 9. And, sometimes she tell me, Ken, I want to retire from all of this. And I said, I don't think you're going anywhere because with your strong voice, the power that you have invested in you, you will continue to be our community advocate and our leader. Sherry, I want to say thank you very much. And guess what happened earlier? You probably was on, but they change up, Restream change up the whole system on how normally you should be on the left hand side. Now I see you on the right hand side. Nevertheless, you came on the right time. And thank you so much to Ariana too. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Share this show, especially the last part where Sherry came on. Sherry will be there to share a lot of information on this. And Sherry, you have to promise me that you will come back. It's so easy it is to be on the radio. It's easy to talk to Kenneth on the radio.
Yes, I was very nervous to come on.
I know, right?
Then I was scratching my head and I said, I'm nervous. And here I am, can't get on.
No, you can't get off. You can't get off. Oh my God, and you can't get on too. But
I spoke to Ariana before and I said, I'm really nervous. You know, I'm just really nervous, even though I talk at a lot of events. Speaking about autism is so passionate to me. And I think when you're talking about very passionate stuff, you're most nervous.
yes, absolutely. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. And Sherry, thank you so much. And We will
Okay.
talk after the show sometime, Sherry. Um, and good luck on the autism walk at Smoky Park next Sunday
Okay.
afternoon, 1 to 5. Right?
Yes, most likely we're gonna have the resource fair in the soccer field area if it doesn't rain, and we're gonna be walking around the park 4 times. We'll take a little break in between, and then we'll continue.
And I'll
And
make the walk too.
fry snacks for everyone.
Pulaury and some hot sauce y'all gonna get too.
Yeah,
All
and then
right.
we have some fun Zumba with Annie Mohan, who's gonna do some, moves that are nice for everyone to do together and have a fun time together.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy this last song. And on that note, to all our viewers, thank you so much. And to Sherry, thank you so much. And do plan to come back soon. Okay?
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Things go wrong when the sin of lingers and temptation strong. कितने ना इसको समझाता हूँ, कितने ना इसको बहलाता हूँ, नादान है कुछ ना समझता है दिल, रात ये आए गाता है, मेरा दिल भी कितना पागल है, ये प्यार तो तुमसे करता है, मेरा दिल भी कितना पागल है, ये प्यार तो तुमसे करता है, पर सामने जब तुम आते हो, कुछ भी कहने से डरता है, ओ मेरे साजन, ओ मेरे साजन, it's a human side when things go wrong, when the sin of lingers and temptation strong, into the born rain of each married man, and it's no sacrifice, just a simple word. It's too hard living into separate world. हर पल मुझको तड़पाता है, मुझे सारी रात जगाता है, इसी बात को तुमको खबर नहीं है, सिर्फ तुम्ही पे.
I see some people tuning in now. Nafisa Noor, thank you very much. Susan B. Monisar. We were just talking about autism. And so I want to say thank you very much to especially Sherry for coming on today. And please join us in the walk next Saturday, May the 4th. I was supposed to Guyana, but I canceled that trip because I want to be in this walk because I promised her and she always have my back. Sherry always have my back no matter what. Have a great evening, everyone. Until tomorrow night, tune in with From Our Hearts with Radhika and Ken on Island Zone Radio. Thank you, everyone.